I have always been a Vogue girl, or at least I used to be. Vogue for me used to be the material of dreams. When I was a teenager in Austria, this was long before social media, I used to see Vogue as my gateway into fashion. I got to see all these amazing designs, the photographers. I could learn about fashion. I could learn about the industry. I also closely followed Anna Wintour and her career at the time, because back then there were not many women at the top of these fashion magazines. And this was long before the book and the movie The Devil Wears Prada. So there was this allure. Of course, I had other magazines as well. There was 16 in the German-speaking countries. There was InStyle, but nothing was like Vogue. For me, it was this amalgamation of fashion and the arts. I could travel to places that back then in the late 90s, early 2000s were so far away from me. So for me, Vogue opened a whole world to me. It introduced me to the design schools. So it let me escape into this world that back then was really closed off. It was not as accessible as it is today with social media. And I religiously waited for every issue. Back then it was German Vogue, of course. But when somebody went abroad, I always asked if they could bring me French Vogue, Italian Vogue, the British edition, or the real treasure American Vogue, which used to be so expensive when you wanted to buy it in Austria. And to be honest, it still is ridiculously expensive to get the American edition of Vogue here. Over time, I have to say, I lost interest. What used to be my guide through fashion became more and more uninteresting, and I would not even blame it onto the online development of our life, because I'm still kind of old school when it comes to a lot of things. Like, I use an analog notebook. I hardly use my Kindle because I prefer to open books, to bookmark by like flipping the pages, also underlining things. So I would not say it's because all of this moved online that I lost interest. Something just felt wrong, and while it was not this move from print to digital, because I do read both, I don't mind if it's a print version or online, I just felt that the content really suffered. First, it really annoyed me when I opened Vogue and then I saw the 5 hottest trends influencers are recommending on their website, because I'm thinking, like, if I want to know what influencers think, I can do that myself. I can go on Instagram, TikTok and find that out myself. And not only that, I also found that the topics themselves were really repetitive. It did not matter if I opened Vogue or any other magazine, and this video is not only about Vogue itself. I just felt that all of them used not only the similar headlines, but also similar or same stories. It was always about the same designs, people. It was the same point of view. And what I appreciated so much, especially when I read Vogue, was this different point of view. For me, it's just not enough to see the 3 lipstick shades that we can't live without in fall this year. For me, there needs to be more than just this. And then the next criticism that I have is this very, very blunt advertising. And now you will laugh and say, like, of course, fashion is advertising. I know that. Every editorial, every photo shoot, of course, is advertising, because fashion is a business. That's clear. But what I found more and more was that over time, and this started already in the early 2000s, magazines like Vogue became more and more a booklet full of the posters or campaigns of the big fashion brands. And of course, I know they also need to make money. They need to live from advertising. And I think in the past, I did not really mind the advertising so much. And because the content was so good, I did not mind. I flipped over these pages, or sometimes I even looked at the advertising and found it interesting, because it was not as extreme. But to give you a current example, this is the September issue of French Vogue, which I bought recently. And this is not limited to any region of Vogue or Vogue itself, but it illustrates the case. So if you look into this magazine, it's full of these, what I call posters or campaigns. And especially in the beginning, you see this thick part here. This is 30 pages until you reach the table of contents. It then takes 12 additional pages to just get through the table of contents and reach the letter of one of the main editors. And then it's another 8 pages until the actual content starts. So we are talking here about 60 pages of posters that we are paying for. So in total, in this issue, we have 219 pages, out of which over 80, I think it was around 83, are just these posters. And this excludes the advertisement by Vogue or Condé Nast, the owner of Vogue themselves. So when I look at the price, It's €6.90 if you buy it in France. And then almost half of it is these campaigns that we see anywhere. We see them on social media also, or even on the streets. I really started asking myself, why would I spend almost €7 for Vogue? And then I got curious, because then I thought maybe it's because print is in kind of these issues that we know. But then I looked and I found this issue from 2011, also the French version. And I actually found a similar issue full of these campaigns. And in the beginning, it's even worse. It takes, I think, 78 or 79 pages until you reach the table of contents. So clearly this has already been going on for a very long time. For me, this was one of the reasons why I got less and less interested in Vogue or other print magazines. Because for me, it was more, yes, fashion is superficial, but I really appreciated these artsy editorials, because for me, and now the art world is gonna crucify me, Vogue was also this meeting point between fashion and art. There are a lot of people who say fashion can never be art, but I do see a connection. So this is just something that I'm missing. Like, where are these cool editorials? Where is the cool photography? Where are the locations? Now when I open these magazines, they are all interchangeable. I already said it before, the articles also feel that they are the same or roughly the same everywhere. Yes, sometimes I still find interesting content. I'm not gonna say everything is bad that is being done at the moment, but it has become less. And I would even say that a lot of these editorials have become really vanilla. When I look at the jewelry campaigns, very often it's just the same shots, the same styles. Even for the fashion, in the most recent Vogue issue, people criticized this art perspective that we could not see the clothes, and I think it was also valid criticism. While I appreciated this more artsy approach, I was also thinking there's actually not much fashion in here. So there is this disconnect that Vogue, especially because they were always the trailblazer, the authority in the industry, they really need to find their groove again. And I can imagine it is difficult because, as I said, Vogue used to be an authority. It was the fashion Olympus. If you made it into Vogue, no matter as a brand, as a model, as a photographer, you made it. And until today, it's kind of this seal of approval. But is it really, is Vogue the only authority anymore? I don't think so, because there are so many other channels where we can get information. We are much better informed than we used to be in the late 90s and early 2000s. So I think this is the challenge that a lot of these print magazines, and especially Vogue, have, that they need to balance this new competition. And actually it's not really new competition, because when we think about it, this has been going on for, I would say, at least 15 years, if not longer. And what is Vogue going to do? So we had a major shift this year. There was big news that Anna Wintour is going to step down as editor-in-chief. She will still keep organizing or be the head of the Met Gala, and Chloe Mal now took over from her. Chloe Mal also was a mentee of Anna Wintour, so we can assume that certain things she will do like Anna Wintour did them, but there will also be new approaches. And the new approaches we could already see before it was announced that Chloe Mal would take over, because she said she will follow a limited edition approach. And when you think about this year in May, they had the limited edition for the Met Gala. I have to admit, I also bought it because it was a limited edition and I found the theme really amazing, and also Lewis Hamilton was on one of the 4 covers, so I admit it, I also bought it. But this new approach for Vogue under Chloe Mal will, as I understood it, follow this limited edition approach. She also said there will be fewer issues, which, to be honest, I don't mind if there are fewer issues if the quality increases, but I'm not sure if the limited edition approach will work all the time. I think it's different if there is an event like the Met Gala or something else that people really wait for that, but will people always buy every single limited edition? And is it then a limited edition, or is it then just a magazine with a monthly or bi-monthly or quarterly theme? And I also assume this limited edition will then cost more. So will people pay for this? And this brings me to the point of who is the customer of Vogue. So first of all, I think the people who can really afford the outfits that we see in Vogue, that are sometimes $5,000, sometimes $15,000 or even more, Yes, they probably also buy Vogue, but I would say they are probably a smaller share of the overall audience, because I do think that the main customer base for a magazine like Vogue is this aspirational aspect. Because like me, as a teenager in Austria, I could save for certain issues of Vogue and enjoy it and then dream about this world. And this is exactly the idea of this aspirational business model, because they want us to dream about this world that we maybe never even be able to enter. And I'm curious to see in business terms how this limited edition approach is going to work for Vogue and what else they are planning. And another thing that people are eagerly discussing is the potential involvement of Jeff Bezos and his wife Lauren Sanchez Bezos, because for quite some time they have been making their moves, first as attendants of the Met Gala, then also as a sponsor, then also their wedding was featured at the cover. Even Anna Wintour recently gave an interview where she talked about the involvement of the Bezos couple. A lot of people see this with big criticism, and to be honest with you, I also have my views on the involvement not only of Amazon but also the Bezos couple in Vogue or even Condé Nast. I think they might even look into buying not only Vogue, maybe they want to get a share in Condé Nast or even take it over, because Bezos already owns the Washington Post, so it would also fit into his portfolio. Maybe also Lauren Sanchez Bezos wants to live her passion for fashion. I don't know. So I'm perfectly honest with you, I'm not really on the positive side when I hear these news, but I think we all have to wait and see what's going to come. And now I would like to know from you, what is your relationship to Vogue? Is it similar to mine? Have you also eagerly waited when you were younger for each issue? Maybe you still read it. Let me know why you still read Vogue, what you appreciate, or are you more in this group of people who say like, it's not interesting for me anymore, I don't like it anymore? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to do two things, because it really helps me with the feedback. First of all, hit the like button if you liked the video, because this is really important feedback for me. And also, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. If you're somebody who prefers to read, I have tons of articles on my website, thepinklookbook.com, and also if you have time, you can check out my fashion label Pelagona. And if you enjoyed my discussion about Vogue, I have another video which might be interesting for you. Thank you very much for joining me in this video, and see you in the next one.